Welcome back to Zero Point Reviews, everybody. This time we got a special video. We are talking about Napoleon Dynamite from 2004 with my beautiful wife, Amy. She is joining us on this fun little podcast, and I am joined as always by my co-host, Kevin. And so please hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be talking about a back to school episode. And now we've been doing like some science episodes for the last 3 episodes, but we're doing something a little bit goofy, and I am totally down for it. If you are too, then please check us out for Napoleon Dynamite, baby, 2004.
Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills. You know, like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
How was school?
Worst day of my life? What do you think? Idiot. What kind of bike do you have?
It's a sledgehammer.
Dang. You ever take it off any sweet jumps?
What are you drawing?
A liger.
What's a liger?
It's my favorite animal. It's like a lion and a tiger mixed.
Why are you so sweaty?
I've been practicing some dance moves. Is Trisha here?
Is that on my driveway?
That's my ride.
Before we get to you, I'm going to ask my wife, Amy, 2004. What was your first experience with this bad boy?
So I was in college, and I was actually a writer for our college newspaper. I did video game reviews, but I had like kind of a fellow entertainment writer who did movie reviews. He did watch this movie in theaters and reviewed it and pretty much said, you got to see this movie. His summary was, I can't explain it, but you got to see this movie. So it actually took a couple years for me to see it. It was kind of a background, like more I was with somebody else at the time. It was playing in the background, but I caught bits and pieces of it, and there was just something different about this movie that just kind of hit home. So I eventually just got the movie myself and watched it, and it's like I've just been watching it ever since. There's just something very, very genuine and low key and heartfelt about the movie that it's like and a little bit nostalgic too, especially now. Maybe back when it came out 20 years ago, it wasn't as nostalgic, but it's kind of now, and it's just kind of like one of those, like, I gotta watch it at least once a year just to remind myself of like this is what a movie is, you know. It's so that was kind of like my first experience with the movie, and it's just I've been just watching it every year since.
And just a full disclosure for everybody, I make homemade gumbo every year for this woman on her birthday, and we watch this movie every year with so I go like full out. We get her favorite bottle of wine, we do everything, we watch this fucking movie, and it's a fun time. Now, full disclosure, my first experience with this movie, because we talk about this before we get to the good, the bad, and the ugly of Napoleon Dynamite, is my first experience with this is for the first few years it came out, I didn't give a shit about this fucking movie. I did not care. I did not want to watch it. I was totally nonplussed about the goddamn movie. However, I met this woman, and one of our first movies together, besides like Office Space and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which I like that movie with her. I saw this movie with her on her DVD, and I'm like, okay, you're going to get me to watch this fucking movie? I ain't going to fucking lie here. This is totally truth. I'm like, this is a movie I have not been that interested in, but hey, you know, you want to watch this? Let's go. Let's do it. Within our first couple weeks, we watched this movie. I'm like, no, that's dope. But hey, you do know that the guy who did like Rex Kwon Do is the guy from like Office Space and like Drew Carey Show. And she said, Drew Carey Show. Okay, I get that, but Office Space? So we tried to watch Office Space like several times, and you fell asleep like every time. So we fell asleep on the couch every time. But like Napoleon Dynamite, she actually got me to watch this the very first time all the way through. And I'm like, that's actually a fun fucking movie, as crazy and as nonsensical as it can be at times. This was a fun movie.
It was kind of one of the first experiences like we had together that kind of brought us together, where it's like, this is just a movie I like, and he's pointing out all these actors that it's like, wait, really? That guy's in there, and he's pointing out like the vehicle, the
Dodge Santana.
He's pointing out, oh yeah, like that vehicle, this and that, and it's like, really? So it was kind of like one of those things that just like
John Grease, Diedrich Bader, they're both in this movie. One is on, John Grease is Uncle Rico. We've reviewed him on Real Genius, so please check that Real Genius video out. We have a fun review on that one. And then we got Diedrich Bader. He's been in Office Space, Drew Carey Show, and a bunch of other fun things. So it's crazy to watch these actors like back in like the 90s to the 2000s in this timeless fashion. But Kevin, I gotta ask you, was this your first time watching, or have you seen this before, and what did you think?
No, I'd never seen this before. This was one of those flicks. Yeah, like 2004 was a year where I missed like a lot of the good pictures that came out.
A lot of us did.
I want to say this was one of them that I could immediately think off of the top of my head where everyone's like, you got to see this movie. What was the other one? Kung Fu Hustle, I think, was the other one that I missed out that year. Super Troopers.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was another Fox Searchlight. So there was plenty of pictures during this time that were really, really popular that just somehow just missed me altogether.
Well, at this time, it's like Fox Searchlight, this was the one movie that put their name on the map as like, we know we're associated with Fox, but hey, we got these independent films that might actually be interesting to you. And based on a $400 million budget, this fucker made like $46 million fucking dollars. So, hey, this did something awesome.
The fact that it didn't sequel is still beyond me.
And we will get to that in a future segment on this show. So, Kevin, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of Napoleon Dynamite.
All right. We'll start us off with the good. My first for the good was the cast. Like, no one was miscast in this movie, I don't think. And
period. Yep.
Everyone was so sincere in their roles. Like, they sold it.
I would say so. I mean, a lot of this was like local cast, and Amy pointed out prophetically that our main character Napoleon took the pay cut of about $1,000 for this film.
Yeah, he agreed to $1,000 to play the role in the film. He later negotiated, but initially $1,000 for the role in the film.
It's too bad they didn't have those merchandising clauses like George Lucas did back in the 70s.
Oh my God, right? They should put out like these like nostalgia figures like I got from like last drive-in up here.
They may have had them at one point. I know Napoleon Dynamite a few years ago at like Hot Topic.
Come on, Fright Rags. Do a last drive-in for Napoleon Dynamite, you bitches.
At Hot Topic, there was an era where I don't know if it was like maybe the 10-year anniversary. Like you could get all the figures and T-shirts and everything. I mean, now that it's coming, it's got to be 20 years old now this year, right? Or,
2004.
So
yeah, 20 years old.
There's going to be a resurgence of like merchandise or anything, but there was like 10 or 15 years into the movie. It did kind of, or like once it came out on Blu-ray, if they timed it correctly, there was like a marketing agenda with it where like you go to, like I said, Hot Topic or what was it, Urban Outfitters or something. You could find clothes that had the Napoleon Dynamite theme to it.
Yeah, albeit the logo or the Vote for Pedro. I remember the Vote for Pedro shirts were all very popular.
Goddamn right. I want one now, and I still can't find one. I mean, without paying like too much money. And I'm sorry, that might spoil a Christmas gift or a birthday gift for you.
Like if
noted.
the Democrats really should have used somebody named Pedro instead of John Kerry. Like,
or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Just making jokes,
Oh, God, you
everybody.
really make
Just
it
chill.
political.
I'm just saying, at that time, no one was going to vote for
We're
him.
tethered, remember?
God damn it, woman.
You got to keep it in there, huh?
I gotta plug you in.
You got to keep it in there.
Let's keep it NC-17 here, you know.
Thump.
But we were just talking about like merchandising and whatnot. So
Yeah. But no, you want to bring it political. Out of all the illegal immigrants they're bringing in, there's got to be somebody named Pedro in that.
Well,
hey, you got to feed Tina somehow.
The immigrants was one of the parts on here where I was kind of like, oh God, it's finally less white. Thank God.
Well, they only had one black character in it, and that was Tina the llama. I mean, that's just kind of sad.
And I was
Pedro.
I was
Pedro,
shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked
One black
when-
character though.
What was her name? LaShonda?
LaFonda.
LaFonda.
Yeah.
I was shocked that
Yeah.
she was real. Like, I thought
Yeah.
Kip was making her up. So, like, when she
No.
got off the bus, I was like, well, goddamn, that's cool.
Well, that ain't no shit. Watching this the first time with her, and I'm here like, oh, LaFonda, and she's only sending him a headshot, like, oh God, this is gonna be bad. And she shows up, and she's like the most smoking hot black woman you've ever seen. Like, I'm watching this with her. I'm like,
And
I think I woke the fuck up, and she's
and
like,
she falls for
wait,
Kip.
are
She
you a
falls-
white boy or what are you?
She falls for the most like wimpiest of white boys, and it's just see, that's just like kind of one of the things where it's like the casting and the acting just plays out. It's uncanny, but it's adorable, and it's just like just seeing her bring out the best in him. It's just like, you find your soulmate in life. That's all you need.
Well, when Kip shows up, all of a sudden, or when LaFonda shows up, Kip all of a sudden turns into this like, you know what? I got confidence, bitch.
Mhm.
I can do this. I'm going to be a cage fighter. And we'll eventually get into the potential sequels a little bit later because that's kind of a different topic. But, it's really funny, like, watching those two interact. They actually have some weird chemistry that actually works. And in the post-credit sequence, they're getting married. And the brother of LaFonda is just like face palming the whole time. It's just so freaking funny to watch, like the brother be like, "The fuck is going on with my sister? God damn it!"
But that's part of what I think is like the good part of the movie. It's like the things you don't think are gonna work out, like the suit with Napoleon, the wig with Pedro. You look at those without the character, and it's like that's not gonna work. But they put that on, and it's like it works out.
Yeah.
Like the nonsensical randomness, just for some reason it works at times, and at other times it doesn't. And we'll get to that soon.
The wig was one of the things that did work for me. It's kind of like, oh, an improvement.
She actually mentioned that like last night for like the 5th time we've watched this movie together, like the last several years.
It's like, we watch it every year, but I'm like, wait for it. You think that wig's not gonna work out? It's gonna work out. Just watch it. And he's just like, I know. I've seen this with you. But I just have to remind him every time.
Welcome to Wifecast, everybody.
No, but I I enjoyed the actors. I enjoyed the commitment to their roles that they played.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed the chemistry that they had with one another, even though sometimes they weren't supposed to have chemistry with one another, specifically like
no kidding.
Napoleon and Rico.
John Grace, everybody, from Real Genius, The Pretender, every other thing that we were probably going to talk about or have talked about. John Grace is going to be the common theme through this month, everybody. So please go back and check out Real Genius. He is wearing full fucking hair in that movie. And in this show, he's got not so much hair, and he likes to be creepy Uncle Rico.
Who was he in Real Genius?
Dude, really?
I know we watched that 2 weeks ago, but
this is when I was at my dad's house, and he forgot he was the guy who was hiding in the closet and in the basement and trying to rig the lottery for everything for Fritos Lays.
That was King Vid?
That was the guy in the basement.
Okay.
Who had been properly robbed from his Scientologist
Yeah,
not
the
Scientologist, his science projects that were co-opted by the military and robbed, and he was the main point of that whole fucking movie, Kevin.
yeah, he was the MacGuffin. I get it. I remember. I just didn't know that was him. I
This is
always
what I
think of
work
him as
with.
King Vid.
Him or me? I mean,
Well,
Vid was
King
so
Vid
much
from
cooler.
Joysticks. That true. That too.
He had an entourage.
See, this is what I work
And a
with
hat.
every week.
you work with me too, though. So.
Yeah, I try to forget that too.
Mhm.
But you know, as far as like the plot goes, Kevin, what do you think about the plot of this one? Like, I know Amy like is totally on board with this, and me as a somebody who is totally not like on board with this to begin with until I met my lovely wife. I'm not kissing, but like literally,
You better be.
legitimately,
He'll do that later.
yes, I will. But legitimately, when I watched this for the first time with her, I was like, you know, this is actually a fun goddamn movie. As crazy random as certain things are at times, like you look at the clock, the dates don't match up. You look at the cheese plate when Chip is doing nachos in the kitchen and Napoleon's calling him for like, hey, I need I need lip balm for my goddamn lips because they're feeling chapped.
Yeah.
Like the nacho plate goes completely fucking crazy.
Well,
For some reason, I love that. But what do you think?
It's one of those movies where like you watch it kind of the first time, and you get the gist of the story the first time, and there's not really a plot. It's just kind of like an observation. It's like a scope into the day in life of Napoleon Dynamite, pretty much. So there's not really, to me, there's not really a plot. It's just kind of like a day in the life of.
Mhm.
But things like, you know, then you watch it repeatedly, and then that's when you notice things like the nacho plate with the cheese piling up in the same scene. You notice the watch with the dates don't line up, and you notice little things like the maps in the background of like the school, or like the cabins, the decor and everything, and you just kind of get more of the more you watch it, for me, like you just get more of a feel of the movie, the feel of the town and the characters. So to me, that's why it's good, because it has repeated watch value to it. So like you see it once, but you kind of have to see it a few extra times too, to really get in-depth appreciation of like what the movie actually is at its core.
No, I completely agree with that, because like I was saying at the very beginning of this video, like I didn't care to watch this fucking movie for like 4 fucking years. Minimum. Like I heard this from friends, like, oh, this is the funniest fucking movie you've ever seen. Yada yada. I hear about like Dodgeball, yada yada. I hear about like all these comedies. I'm not much of I mean, I like comedies, but I'm not seriously seeking out like these like normal drama comedies. I like y'all know me. I like my sci-fi. I like my horror. I like, you know, House 2, which got robbed on Rotten Tomatoes, so fuck you bitches. But, you know, this movie, she showed it to me for the first time, and I'm like, this is pretty funny. Every time I watch it, I like this movie more and more. The rewatchability of this movie holds up crazy good. And it also helps that MTV helped with the soundtrack on this, because the soundtrack on this is crazy. The first time we watched this, I started singing to the dancing. Yeah. And she's like, you know this song? I'm like, I'm an 80s baby. I know this song.
But the song they played in the trailer, the I Want Candy song, they never played in the movie.
Which is unfortunate, thank you everybody for tuning into our trailer on that, because you will get things out of commercial trailers, like TV trailers, that you don't get out of normal trailers. And that's to prep up the movie. And to be honest, I wish I had watched this when it first came out, because this movie is actually a lot of fun. The writing is good. Jared Hess did a fantastic job directing and writing this. He did the opening credits after the movie was made. And you normally get shit credits to start with a movie. And these are creative. They're on plates. They're on chapstick capsules. I wish I had a chapstick around here, because I usually keep about 20 chapsticks around my desk. Sorry, honey, I don't have one around me right now. But, they're very creative, they're very innovative, and I totally love how the movie starts and sets up, and it's a fun time, and the soundtrack is dope.
Yeah, well, the beginning credits were actually filmed afterwards, and they used 3 people for it. They used John Heater, Jason Hess, and a hand model. So there's three different sets of hand used.
I got a hand for you, baby.
It was just creative, and it just kind of all the elements used in that opening credits just kind of added more to Easter eggs in the movie. Like you see things in the opening credits, but can you spot them during the movie too?
Ooh.
Yeah, because each of those dishes were eaten later on in the movie, weren't they?
Yeah.
By somebody else. Yeah.
Yep.
Nobody ever ate those nachos though.
No, the what Kit made, no. But even things like the chapstick, that's kind of an element in it. And you see the old book with the library checkout card in it with the names on it. So I mean that's part of the nostalgia of it too. So that's part of the good as well. Is it did, especially even when it came out, it had a little bit of nostalgia, but now it has a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, would you think this movie is pretty timeless, or would you say anything is a little bit dated before we get into the bad of this movie?
You would have to ask a Gen Z person. To me, it's a bit timeless, but asking a Gen Z person, I don't know what they'd say. Your kids, Kevin, I don't know what they would once they get teenagers and see this movie. I don't know what they'd think of it.
And when they hit teenagers, he's probably going to commit seppuku.
Yeah. My kids are different. Most neurotypical kids today, I don't know. I didn't see anything that I would have thought to be offensive. There was no slurs. There was really only one thing that I kind of had an eye twitch at. That I'll get to later on. It was nothing that was going to break the movie for me that the movie didn't already break. But I don't think this would be a non-timeless picture. The only thing that would take this out of its time frame is if you didn't know anything about the 1980s, if you didn't know anything about what it was like to be somebody in high school and then you graduate and you still feel like you're somebody, but you're not anymore. When Rico's that guy that never leaves town.
Yeah,
Rico.
Yeah, he lives
still there doing the same shit.
Still trying to relive the era of the 70s, basically.
Yeah,
with his Dodge Santana, which I thought was a GMC. God damn
it! To the point where he buys a friggin' time machine.
I couldn't push it that to work.
To 1982.
Yeah.
If I tried that shit, she would have nailed me in the nuts for free. I wouldn't have had to buy nothing for that shit.
No kidding. But I would agree. I think it's pretty timeless. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop someone watching it today from enjoying the picture as much as they did 20 years ago, or that you guys did 20 years ago. I still think it would hold up.
It'd be about the cell phones.
Yeah.
If anything, that'd be it.
Or people wondering what film is. Glamour shots.
VCR, VHS.
Yes, the glamour shots.
No, glamour shots from Deep One on VHS.
VHS tape. The tape. Yeah. The corded phone.
Oh, the corded phone. And she pointed out the Dragon Slayer movie poster in the background of Napoleon before he started dancing. I'm like, you know what? I never noticed that shit before. Thank you, man.
And The Last Unicorn was right next to that.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. Good job, Kevin.
Thank you. See, I know stuff. I catch stuff occasionally.
You pay attention. Very good. Yeah. But this is ultimately a fun movie. And I know we're going to get to bad, ugly, and final judgment, everybody. But for the most part, this is a pretty tame PG film. You don't have to worry about swearing. You don't have to worry about violence. You don't have to worry about much. The only thing you might have to worry about, and we'll get to a little bit of that later, is a little bit of the nonsensical stuff, but it kind of plays within its own mythology. so it works.
Yeah, it's kind of in its own little world, but it's a world that like kind of most people I think can relate to. So it's very genuine. It's very low key. It's worth a watch at least once. I know I think people tend to either love or hate this movie, but if you do like it once, it's worth repeated watching, if just to catch a few other things in the background or comments or little nuances that you never caught before.
I would recommend twice. The first time you'll feel like, okay, maybe what about this movie? You watch it a second time and things suddenly start to make sense and they fit their own narrative throughout the movie. And while this was an independent movie made on $400,000 freaking dollars, let's keep that in mind.
Over 23 days.
Over 23 days, this movie at this time started a bidding war that resulted in, you pointed this out to me, $4 million. Fox Searchlight punted this bad boy. They found it at Sundance. They bidded for it and they put it out and it made $46 million. While that may not make a whole lot of money in today's terms, if you adjust for inflation, you're talking about a $4 million movie that just made about $100 million fucking dollars. That was pure profit based upon like marketing, profit, and everything that they did with this movie. And this is made on a $400,000 budget, and Heater only took $1,000 on that.
Yeah,
so this whole cast, and any keen-eyed viewers will notice that the aunt, the
grandma,
the mother of that one daughter that Napoleon was dating,
Trisha,
is from
Trisha's mom.
Trisha's mom is from Tammy and the T-Rex. So you
yeah.
keen-eyed viewers will notice her. And this movie did very well for its budget. It did very well in marketing. It did very well overall. This was a success. This is what you base basically the original Halloween movie on. That was made for a little amount of money. Word of say and hearsay made that movie like bonkers crazy. In today's terms, that's not $1 billion, but it's still a lot of money and it's pure profit. Napoleon Dynamite is the same damn thing. So it made money. It's got a cult following. It's maybe not a classic per se, but this is a cult classic. When people talk about Napoleon Dynamite, they remember this movie. They don't remember anything else beyond that, though. And we will get to that soon.
Is that part of the plot or lack thereof? When you say that they don't remember much else? Because what I wanted to add or was thinking of when we were describing the plot is this is a bit like, to Amy's point, like an episode of Seinfeld, where it's not about anything necessarily, but it's structuralized as a film like UHF, which is a series of skits, and they have an overall plot that they manage to sew all the skits together and make them make sense for that overall plot. And I think this was kind of utilized that method of storytelling, and that's not a bad thing. That works really well for certain comedies.
Yeah, I think you could maybe even break this up into like a mini series at like 4 episodes or something, and it would still make sense and it would work. So
I think this would have made a good TV show.
That we would not ultimately end up getting in the animated series like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that soon. Now, Kevin, got anything good else, or my lovely wife, would you like anything else to talk about on the good on this?
I could rant about the good on this for quite a while, but just, overall, it's just like, watch it. Even if you're a Gen Z, even if it's like a little, you think it's like a little dated, just watch it. And maybe if you like it, watch it again. If you don't like it, I kind of get it, because it, like you said, Kevin, it's like Seinfeld. It's kind of like a movie not necessarily about anything, but it does have something to it, and either you get it or you don't. But if you do like it, watch it a few extra times just to catch some of the underlying messages or underlying objects, or kind of things you don't notice before between characters. You get a little bit, if you do enjoy it, you get a little bit more out of it every time you watch it.
This is one of those movies that does hold up to replayability, everybody. So even I will attest, because like I said before, I never wanted to see this movie until I met this lady.
Mhm.
And then she's like, this is my favorite movie. Okay, well, I guess I have to watch it. And I actually freaking like this movie. And every time I've watched it ever since, I've found more and more to like about it. And I love a lot of the actors. Like, you know, John Grease has been in The Pretender. He's been in Real Genius. He's been in a lot of things, and he's a fantastic character actor. You also have Diedrich Bader, who is in Office Space from 1999. This is 5 years fucking later, everybody. 2 chicks at the same time. He's in this freaking movie. And that's how I got her to watch Office. Well, it took me a few times to get you to watch Office Space because you kept falling asleep, but
I'd seen it before, but
you had seen it before. But like, you know, there's some fantastic actors in this. So when you break down this movie full out, like, you may not be okay with like some of the humor and some of the inconsistencies, but this movie is fun. It's got a narrative structure that works. It's directed very well. It's produced very well, and all the acting is on point.
Yes, everyone commits 112% to their characters. And the characters, when I say 112%, that means something because these characters are all fucking crazy and zany. Like, there's not a whole lot normal about the majority of this cast. Say that maybe the principal.
No, but if we want to talk about any of the bad, Kevin, we can get into the how zany it really gets with the bad Napoleon Dynamite. Oh, shooting the cow.
It's a great image.
So
Dude, good
that's I know we don't like to show guns on here, but so the scene where he's slowly loading this single shell shotgun that would the shell that it would take to kill a cow that size would rip that gun in half. Like, it truly would.
No shit.
That's true.
It would take a slug to do that, and a slug would destroy that barrel. Like, I'm sitting here watching him, and I it was so slow that you needed to understand or should expect that they were leading up to something, because that's the way slow jokes work.
Mhm.
And when the bus pulls up in between them, that's when I thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny that he was shooting the cow point blank until the kids started screaming. Then I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Which is the bus is stationary, and this is based off of a real life incident that the director experienced as a kid in this freaking town, which is really funny because Amy pointed that out to me. Sorry, it's still your
No,
thunder,
it just the town of Preston was pretty much the town that the director grew up in, and a lot of this was between him and his wife, kind of their experiences growing up a bit too. So I mean, but it's like, is it bad because he's shooting a cow in front of all these kids, or is it bad because it's funny? You know, it's
bad simply because I don't like animal cruelty in movies. But
a lot of us don't.
So you probably have an issue with the chickens.
Yes, that was my other issue, was the chickens. Not so much because they showed that, but because that's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Show it because it is an actual thing that people do need to like be aware of. Your food comes from fucking abused animals in small cages like that, where they fit 2, 3, 4 chickens in one small cage that's not big enough for one.
Soon?
Yeah, that's why kind of why we're getting our own chicken soon. But
we're gonna raise them proper, everybody. Don't worry.
But
you're gonna have a chicken of tomorrow.
We're gonna have 3 chicks and a rooster.
3 hens.
Or 3 hens and a rooster.
Name one Blanche for me.
Man, we're gonna name it Cock for you.
Blanche.
Yeah, but well, and then you think about Tina being tied up to that post the whole time. It's
my God.
She's only in a couple, and then she's forced to eat this
Was
disgusting casserole. Yeah.
You would be on this thing.
Poor Tina. Like, it's like, you know, one of the few black characters in the movie, and she's tied up to a fence post. I mean,
She won't eat food.
She's forced to eat this disgusting casserole full of flies and everything, and it's like, and then she's insulted. She's called a fat lard. I mean, yeah. So I guess there's like, I guess there's a little bit more animal abuse in this. Yeah, the chicken. Yeah, it's like that's pretty real. You know that was an actual chicken
Sure.
chicken building that they were filming.
But at the same time, I'd rather them show that than romanticize it and make it look like the chickens are all really living well. No, let people see where their food fucking comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that that wasn't what really broke the movie for me. The movie is a very slow joke in progression, and
Yeah.
it was not my type of film. It's a very well-made film. It's an extremely well-acted film for the method they did it. It's an extremely well-edited film. It's just not a Kev film. And that's not a problem. That doesn't make it bad. That's just I'm a persnickety dick.
Well, welcome to 0 Point Reviews, where we review just about anything.
Yeah, I do understand the movie isn't for everyone. Even though I love the movie dearly, I do understand why somebody wouldn't like it. If see, I don't mind the slower paced movies where they're like, I'm a fan of Seinfeld, so like you brought the connection of this being kind of like a long episode of Seinfeld, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. But you just kind of have to sit with it and just kind of bear with that. This is just kind of like
it's a random movie. It's
a bit random. It's a bit kind of normal, like a day in life of a nerd, awkward person.
Yeah.
And it may not be for you if you like anything else outside of that realm. If you have to have like a lot of action, a lot of forward progression in the movie immediately, a lot of that instant gratification, it's probably not gonna pay off. So for some, the pacing may be a bit off for some people.
Now, I would also say probably the humor. You know, if you're not a snarky person in general, or you didn't grow up in a snarky family, this might not be the flick for you. However, for those of us who grew up in a snarky family and had to deal with this for like 40 fucking years, this movie might actually be up your freaking alley. So part of the movie, you know, is going to rest on your laurels of your sense of humor. If you're game for this kind of sense of humor, this might work for you. It might take a viewing or two. We're going to say this a few times. You have to see this movie at least twice to actually understand this movie. And this is coming from somebody who, like I said many times before, and I won't say it again, I didn't want to watch this movie for a long time. I heard this was a funny movie. I didn't give a shit about that. She got me to watch it, and I freaking loved it. And so when I actually sat down and gave it an honest chance, it's like, no, that's a good movie. The second time I watched it, I liked it more. The third time I watched it, I liked it even more. And it's not because of her. It's because I actually like this goddamn movie. And this is well written, well directed, well shot. Like both of you have discussed about this already. Like this movie is very well made. And this was an independent movie, everybody. You can do this these days and actually be successful. This is the case example of something from like 2003/2004. You could do 20 years later. Go get a goddamn video camera and make this fucking movie. If you want to make a fucking movie, you can do this, people. You can do this.
Just use
and
your phone
people
these
will
days.
pay for that.
Just use your phone these days.
Or an iPhone, like, you know, Steven Soderbergh likes to do. So props out to Steven Soderbergh. But like, you know, for some of the things that are nonsensical in this movie, like there are inconsistencies galore. If you want to nitpick this movie, just look at Napoleon's watch. Half the time it changes days, it changes times. You want to nitpick, go look at Chip's nacho plate. It changed. Or
Chips.
I say chip because I just think chips in general because I want to have nachos tonight for goddamn reason. And we already had them today. But like Kip's nacho plate, the cheese keeps growing and growing and growing in between scenes. And it makes like no sense. But that's part of the fun of this movie. Like the nonsensical part of this actually works. As I might clump it in the bad, but I also clump it in the good. Like that makes the charm of this movie so much interesting. It makes you want to look in the background at everything going on. There's always something going on that you're not paying attention to. And that's the mark of a good filmmaker and a good cast, that they're always hinting at something more that's not there, but it is there. It's like a PlayStation 3 trophy that isn't real, but it is, everybody.
I earned that trophy. God damn it.
Platinum, baby.
Platinum. Yeah. Yeah, that just derailed me because I won a trophy today on Lego Star Wars. But anyway.
That's my boy.
At least you accomplished something today, right?
Other than me, that where I just watched
Yeah, this guy-
AEW All In England today. And
Oh.
my wife is actually working and doing her goddamn job. And I'm like, shit, I'm just hanging out in the movie room trying to fix shit around this place and just watching wrestling.
Fair enough. I watched this and Harley Quinn today. So
I feel sorry for you.
yeah.
I was more
season-
productive than you.
Well, you know. I fed my kids. I fed the dog. I did that.
Oh,
was,
that's
yeah,
something.
that was about it. Otherwise, it's like no. Today's not the day
She's
for
a
productivity.
sweetie, by the way.
Don't believe it.
The dog? Yes.
Yeah, not you. Fuck
No.
you.
I was like, not my kids.
I know.
They're all assholes.
No, they ain't cute at all. They're the hell spawn. All right. Ugly Kevin. Let's get to it.
Oh goodness. What's a good word for this?
The husky? Come on.
Ableism is bigotry. It really is. It's really hard to tell if they are making fun of people who are just completely 5150 or if they are making fun of people with social disorders.
Yeah, there
And-
was kind of like Napoleon was supposed to like represent somebody with Asperger's. I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'd really like to pound the director in the dick with the hammer. You're a fucking bigot. That's just what that is. If you make fun of people like that, you're a fucking bigot.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, that's just the ugly for me. I don't like that sort of thing.
yeah.
No, that's okay. You
You
got
know,
your
I
opinion.
never really kind of caught that too much. To me, Napoleon was just kind of always that awkward nerd.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. I mean,
It could have been
so when
what I thought, or like say like Greg in Meet the Fockers, where like nothing ever goes his fucking way. Like everything is awkward for him.
yeah. Well, at least with Napoleon, there's payoff though. Things do kind of go his way. A few times. I mean, things don't always go his way, but in the end, he kind of shows that like being that true, genuine friend triumphs over kind of any other obstacle. I mean, he does, you know, he kind of puts himself in these situations where it's like, yeah, he maybe does a few things to himself by like drawing ligers or telling his fellows at school that he's got nunchucks in his locker and that he hunts wombats with 12 and,
Give me your tots.
but
Give me your
you know, I
tots.
mean, yeah, but and yeah, he gets bullied, but it's nothing that people my age didn't really experience like that was kind of commonplace too. So
Yeah.
Again, I think there's a little bit of maybe what generation you're growing up with kind of influences how you view this movie, whether something is truly ugly or not. So for me, his social awkwardness wasn't necessarily ugly. To me, it was part of him being him, but he never changed himself either. He never conformed to what should have been normal. I mean, he was part of, so he was part of FFA. Yeah. He was part of FFA, the Future for Agriculture, which oddly enough, I was also a member of that association too. That is a real association in high school. Yes. So what it is it's for people going into agriculture or food science or animal breeding kind of degrees. And so I was a member of that. So when I saw that for the first time, it's like, oh God, he was a nerd like me, kind of that that connection and the things they were doing, like the judging animals and the drinking of the milk that tasted like a cow got into the onion patch. Those are actually real things that at least when I was in high school, like kids in FFA did.
That was a thing.
That was a thing. So, but you know, I also grew up in kind of like the Midwest. He's in the Midwest, so it's is Idaho.
Well,
Idaho's kind of where he grew up in Idaho is agriculture.
Idaho is kind of Midwest,
so it kind of related in that way. So for me, his social awkwardness and his like quote unquote like mental incompatibilities, I guess, wasn't necessarily ugly for me. To me, that was very relatable.
Sure.
yeah, a lot of people can actually relate to that, and I actually found myself relating to him as well, like multiple times watching this movie with you. It's like, you know what, all of us kind of grew up in a very similar, maybe not the exact same situation, but we all grew up in similar situations, and we all like grew into the people that we are today. And without that kind of experience from like high school, junior high, whatever, we wouldn't be who we are today. Now, I can't speak for like newer generations or millennials, but like, you know, I understand what you're talking about, Kevin. I understand what you're talking about, my wife Amy here. Like, but for me, like Napoleon, for some reason, I gravitate towards him and Pedro as well, despite what like conceived notions that they might have about them. But their behaviors remind me of like what I was growing up with in junior high and high school when I was a fish out of fucking nowhere. I came from the Midwest, from Wisconsin to San Diego, and I was thrown into Hispanic, Filipino, you know, Vietnamese, and everything in between. And I still found my way through. And this movie is an example of that. Ugly, good, bad, whatever it is. This is how I made friends. And a lot of my friends were very similar to Napoleon and Pedro. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with anybody. This is not a political thing, everybody. Mm-hmm. This is just me relating to this movie. Like, for what you might think is like the bad side of this, these are the people that I became the best friends with. Mm-hmm. And if that is like too ugly for some people, hey, fuck off. Get off our channel. This ain't the channel for you. But like, Kevin's my best friend. This is my lovely wife of over 14 fucking years. Well, I know it's been it's about that. We're getting the anniversary, everybody. So yeah, I need to schmooze it just a tick. But you know, I love these people. These are my best friends. This is my wife. And this is actually a good fucking movie. And the only ugly I would actually say about this movie is the animated series they followed up with that got canceled after 6 episodes.
I'd have another ugly.
Oh, go for it, babe.
Creepy Uncle Rico.
Oh, Uncle Rico.
Those scenes, Kevin, what are your thoughts on those?
Let me enhance my bust size for everybody.
Yeah, that was awkward. Very awkward and uncomfortable to watch. Like, oh goodness, he's sitting here hitting on his nephew's girlfriend and then encouraging her to get bigger boobs because his nephew said so.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching that the first time, and it's like that. For me, that even the first time I watched it, it's like, okay, how far is this movie gonna push it? It never. So in the early 2000s, maybe today it would cross. Today it would probably definitely cross the line.
Oh, it get canceled today.
Yeah, but early 2000s, it got right up to that line. Mm-hmm. I'd say not enough to cross it in the early 2000s, but right up there.
It made its point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got right up to that line without crossing it.
Yeah.
Because if he had actually put like a hand on her shoulder, I think that might have been a bit too much for that movie.
Yeah. But that for me, that was the big ugly. It was just kind of creepy Uncle Rico moments.
Come on, Deb. You know you need to want to increase your bust size.
Yeah, the actor did for better or worse, did a good job of being a creep.
John Grease, dude, we love you. Like, we're sorry, but like you play creepy just perfect in this freaking movie.
Yeah.
With or without an entourage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. let's run over some Tupperware a few more times with Kip, and we'll be okay.
Yeah,
That was fucking funny.
the Tupperware.
This is indestructible.
What was it called? Nyla Point or something? Nyla Pont?
Nyla Poly
Something
or
Nyla
other.
Pont.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
DuPont,
not
I think.
DuPont. Yeah.
DuPont.
Yeah, not DuPont.
It was DuPont.
It was clever. And they were very clever about mixing the early 1980s with the early 2000s. Like,
Yes.
it was almost like watching the Brady Bunch movie from the 90s, where everything else in the outside was the 90s, except for the Brady's, which were very much the 70s on the inside.
Yeah.
So it had that feel to it, and it worked out very well without coming off as cheesy.
No, I'd agree with that.
I don't know. As far as like any other ugly moments go, is his drawing of Trisha, maybe, but it took him 3 hours to do the shading on her upper lip.
Oh my God,
So,
the shading on the upper lip.
Yeah, that was a bit.
It took me a few hours to
I
work on
pretty
your
much-
shading on the upper lip.
I pretty much
everybody.
had the same reaction as Trisha did to that picture.
Ew.
Yes, that's supposed to be the audience reaction, though. It was like
It is. It's
We are
intentional.
all supposed to agree with that.
Intentional.
Yeah.
Intentional, but
it was like somebody put their thumb in silly putty and smushed it this way and then that way.
God.
Oh my God.
It was something else.
Yeah.
Kevin, you got any more ugly, or Amy, you got any more ugly on this
No.
movie, or is this actually an okay movie?
No, that's the ugly is a few moments, but it's not enough to ruin it for me.
Okay,
I mean,
you ordered your
especially-
gumbo and your cheesecake for your birthday now.
Especially after you watch it once and you when you watch it the first time, you see those ugly moments, those creepy moments. For me, it's like, how far are they gonna, but then you realize they don't overstep it, and it kind of gets a little bit more tolerable. But even still, like every time I watch it, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
At least I know it's there.
Yeah, very fair.
Yeah.
Kevin, final judgment. Let's go.
Oh, where is it? This one. Yay! See, I like that ending
Yeah.
picture.
That's
Yeah.
a
That was a
great
nice
picture,
ending.
dude.
Yeah.
I didn't look at your picture before we recorded, so, and like everybody knows, I don't clip anything except at the very beginning and the ending. So anything in between, you're getting the full uncut version of this review.
We're gonna say nasty things. We're gonna make lewd gestures, all sorts of stuff. It'll have
And then
nothing
I'm
to do
gonna have
with
to
the show.
clip like 30 minutes with my wife. So everybody, it's gonna be that kind of thing tonight.
So, I mean, my final judgment is this. This is a very well-made picture. I understand why people liked it. I see the hype. I didn't get it. It's not my kind of thing. I was offended by it. If I see the director and writer, I swear to God, I've got fucking words for you, you bigoted piece of shit. If you like making fun of fucking people that are different from you, that says something about you. That's great, Tess. That's great. But otherwise, your actors are fantastic. Your writing skills are fantastic. Your editors are fantastic. Your subject matter probably could do a little bit more with the creativity. But
I guess
this is a movie worth people's time. Just
what do you give it
not
out of
mine.
a 10, Kevin?
3. I'd give it a 3. This is not my movie. I have watched horrible things that I enjoyed more that were made worse. And I hesitate to bring up War of the Worlds, but I will, because War of the Worlds didn't fucking down talk nobody. It was miserable and I hated it the entire time, but it didn't make fun
The
of
show or the
anybody.
movie, dude?
The show. So
This movie was better than that show.
Sure. I just didn't like it as much. That's the difference, is I'm able to step back and say, you know what? This is a well-made movie. A lot of people like it. It's just not for me. I not this movie's audience.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's all it was.
And
I'm
hey,
just not the movie's audience.
Everybody on 0 Point Reviews, we don't have to always agree on things.
We don't usually.
He's still my friend and he's still my co-host. I haven't fired him except for like the 30 times before this. And I've always brought him back. So this is how it works, bitches.
Otherwise, I liked the dance scene at the end. It just took way too long to get to that.
Mhm.
I like the
No, I
payoff
can-
of
I can see
LaFonda giving him the tape. That was so cool. It just
Mhm.
took way too long to get to that for me.
I can see that. Now, Amy, final judgment. What do you think
No,
about this movie?
It you just brought up the LaFonda thing, and that just kind of reminded me of like she said like her cousin made the tape. Well, her cousin's a white boy because Jamiroquai, who sang the song in the last scene, is a white guy. So Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize
you look
that's
up,
who that
yeah,
was.
the song is called "Canned Heat" by Jamiroquai. I think that's how you pronounce it. But
I think so.
the band, the guy is
Jamiroquai.
fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thanks,
He's-
Kevin.
And I'm
I
I want to say I know black people, but I don't.
Cancel.
But it's like, yeah, the guy who sings that is a white guy, so her cousin's a white guy. But anyway, so my final judgment, it's like, for me, it's like I enjoy the movie for what it is. I've always enjoyed it for kind of what it is, which is just, to me, it's just a telling of a story of an awkward guy who doesn't let what other people think of him change him, and he just, he stays true to himself, and it pays off at the end. So that's what the movie means. I'd say I'd probably give it about a 7.5 out of 10 if I had to rate it. So it's not like my favorite movie of all time, but it is kind of one that I genuinely enjoy every time I watch it. For me, it will never get old, but at the same time, I do understand that it's not quite for everyone. But I kind of understand why. But for me, it's again, it's just something that, like, just you watch it the first time, like I said, you either kind of like this movie or you don't. And if you do like it, it's worth rewatching it. And if you don't, then probably not again. But it's just something I get enjoyment out of. I don't overwatch it. Like I said, I watch it once a year, which is enough just to kind of remind me of, that this is the type of movie I enjoy, because of they're just the heartfelt of it, just the making of it. This was a movie where the town of Preston came together to make this movie. Pretty much, there were people opening their doors to the cast and crew of this movie. So it does kind of have that community vibe to it. It's got a small town vibe to it. It's kind of a little bit lost in time sort of town, like the town that, like, it takes place in the mid 2000s, but there's a lot of older elements to it. So kind of that I enjoy about it. So yeah, for me, it's just it's enjoyable.
And for me, it's for somebody who never wanted to watch this fucking movie to begin with, but I met her and I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta watch this thing. I actually ended up liking this movie. It did take a couple of times to get into it. So to her testament, to Kevin's testament, this movie isn't gonna be for everybody. You gotta have the right sense of humor. You've got to have the right mindset for this movie. This is not a thinking movie, everybody. If you want complicated plot, serious independent movies, this ain't your thing. You want a popcorn movie, just tune off and just like chill for an hour and a half? Yo, this is your freaking movie. You want something like Office Space? I know, Diedrich Bader's in both of them. Same thing. That movie's not for everybody, but it should be a required viewing for a lot of people. This is the same thing for anybody who's gone through a junior high and high school and you've been even remotely awkward. You will relate to this movie. You just haven't given it a chance yet. Now, as far as the animated TV show goes, skip it. Literally skip it. If this is your only experience with Napoleon Dynamite, give it a chance. You might actually like it. You might not. That's totally cool by you. We have no ill will towards anybody who doesn't like this movie. You don't have to like this movie. Kevin watched this movie. He gave it a 3 out of a freaking 10. Amy likes this movie at a 7.5 easy. It's not perfect. That's right, bitch. You work your way up and you get rehired for our next show that we're working on. But for me, I'm going to give this an honest 7 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's fun. You literally can turn your brain off to this movie and not feel like you wasted an hour and a half of your time as opposed to like the Crow fucking remake that just came out. This is a movie that's fucking 20 years ago. You can just chill to. If you like to drink, you don't like to drink, you like to smoke weed, you don't like to smoke weed, don't kill us, YouTube. Like, this movie's fun for whatever you are into or not into. I'm giving this a solid 7, even though I watch this every year for my wife on her birthday. I make gumbo, I make cheesecake, I give her nicest bottle of wine and bottle of beer. We have a great fucking time. This ain't shilling time. I like this fucking movie, or I wouldn't be talking about this, and I wouldn't have convinced Kevin to give this a goddamn movie a crack.
That's all right.
It's at least worth a try if you haven't seen it already. Although I would be curious to see what Gen Z people think of it, the next generation.
That is a good question.
Just kind of their take on it.
And everybody, if you are Gen Z or whatever generation you are, I want to hear that comment down below. And don't think about not putting a comment down below. I want to fucking hear it. Good, bad, or ugly. This movie, that's what we do on here. Good, bad, and the ugly. You hit that like button down below. You also comment. I want to hear it. I'm warning you. I want to hear it. Subscribe, hit that little bell notification, and we will see your asses on the next time. Because next time, we're going a little ch-ch-ka-ka. September is Friday the 13th month, bitches. We're doing some movies and we're doing some TV shows. We'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.